Kate here, and this is Moriah, the revolting man's wife.
Hello.
We are Shabbating together, and we're on a little walk. We're following somebody who's very determined, and we're just providing overwatch. Moriah had just said if she were to do a live stream, she would like to do it with women only, because women's issues are her passion. And so I thought, wow, that's a great thing for her to tell us about. So what do you mean by that, sister?
Well, you know, the Revolting Man's channel is, I think, is primarily geared towards men.
True.
And he likes it when I come on there every once in a while, just to give it a little bit of a, oh, what does he say? Credibility? So,
very self-depreciating,
yeah.
Her husband.
So I really like to talk about women's stuff and all about marriage, and all of that was very eye-opening for me when I got married. I had no idea, even though my parents are still married, and I know a lot of married couples, I still had no idea how to have a godly marriage if you're really just going by what the Bible says. And so I didn't have anyone to teach me. I didn't have any mentors, and I really struggled with it for years.
So what was your biggest struggle, do you think? What was the thing that you were looking to have been educated on?
Well, submission. That's the biggest thing. You know, that's the Revolting Man's, you know, biggest thing is wives submit to your husbands, and I didn't realize how deep that goes. That goes really deep. That's not just talking about, you know, where we're gonna live and what kind of car we're gonna drive. I mean, that's every day. That's a daily battle, a daily choice.
Wow, that word battle she gave, that's a really accurate statement, because it is a huge issue with Torah observant women, but also women in general, Christian women, with the submission question. And I think just the statement that she said, it's a daily, especially with modern women, because we're taught to be very independent.
Oh, yeah.
Right? To understand our own minds and to have opinions.
Yep.
So, what do you think God meant when he said to submit?
Oh, well, like I said, it goes really deep. And you know, I've been wanting to do a video on just submission for as long as I'm making them. But it's hard to narrow it down. That's a hard thing to just give one definition for. I don't know. It's submitting is giving up your will to the will of your husband. I mean, it's what Jesus did. He said, "Not my will, but thine will be done." And he was the perfect example of submission. And so that's what we, as wives, have to emulate, is the perfect the perfect example. Not my will, but thine be done. That's deep.
Yeah, it is very deep, and I agree to a certain extent that he's the final word in the house. I would definitely put it that way. Although I look to Proverbs 31 woman, and I look to when a woman makes a vow. If a woman makes a vow and her husband hears it, but doesn't have any problem with it, then it can stand as she made it. So it's not like you can't have an opinion on something. The other thing is, Proverbs 31 woman was not meek, right? I don't know that meek and submissive are definitely
no,
interchangeable, right?
Right. That's why it goes deep. It's meek, or submissive is not weak.
Right.
Submissive is not weakness. Submissive is power under control. I mean, you're taking your own power and you're controlling it.
Right. And it is something that was, this is the way the Father designed it. It is in Genesis 2, where he says the husband will rule over the wife. So in that, you also have a certain freedom, because you are not the one ultimately responsible. Your husband's shoulders bear that burden, and it's a big burden.
Right.
And so there is a certain amount of, well, I'm going to give you my opinion, sweetie, but I understand in the end, you will make the final decision.
Yeah. That I can't even imagine having that responsibility that way. I mean, that's one of the blessings. That's a wonderful blessing that the Father has given wives.
Right? That we have a protector and someone who's going to stand ultimately to be responsible.
Because, you know, you look at some modern Christian women, and there is a big burden on them to lead their families, to take them all to church, to get their husbands to go to church with them, to decide what church to go to, and all this. And the husbands just follow along, or, you know, they don't go at all. And you can see the struggle in the women, that it shouldn't be their responsibility. They're not really equipped for it. And
exactly.
It's really, it really is a big burden on them. I see that with close family members who don't know where to go to church. They don't know where God's leading them. Well, it's not your job to make those decisions. You let your husband do that.
That's right. He is, you know the hierarchy: God, Jesus, husband, wife. He's in there, so you don't have to make those decisions.
Amen.
And I look at us as you are cleaved together. So you are two oxen pulling at one yoke. You can be strength to your husband, right? You can give him all your wisdom and knowledge, and together you're a stronger pair than just one person.
Yep.
And like we have already covered, let him take the ultimate responsibility for whatever decision the two of you take. And if he trusts you, he can let you take those vows. And Pastor allows me a lot of freedom in that way, where some people think I shouldn't do videos at all. It wasn't my idea. It was my husband's. Right? And so just because you're submissive doesn't mean you have to be bowed down.
No.
Only to your husband.
Right.
Or beaten down.
Right.
Or weak, as you said.
Not. Proverbs 31 woman is not weak.
She's not weak.
She is a strong woman.
She is a very strong, capable woman, and that's who we want to be.
Yep.
All right, sister. Thanks for listening, you guys. Shalom.
Bye.